Hi, this is Denise Matthew. Hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. This week is a busy week and there's a few things happening. We have a new moon on February 11th, and I will talk about that. And it's a lot of Aquarius energy and a lot of the energies we've sort of been talking about. Also, we do have the movement of the nodes are going to be changing into different gates. So they're going from the 45-26 to the 35-5. So that's something kind of important to talk about as well. Mercury remains in retrograde, and it is moving sort of a little bit faster than it was before. It's come out of the gate 30, and we're going to talk about that energy as well. We continue to go through the experiment and the mandala of life. Everything's going really well. I'm learning a lot, as I always do with anything I do. With these types of things, I always end up learning so much more than I ever thought I could, and it's good. And the last week has been all about the stories and the listener. And I have to say that I have heard a lot of stories, and and people talking about stories and mentioning the word story. And I find that those are the key words that we can sometimes look at and find that we will actually hear as we go through. But having said that, are more stories available to us at this particular time than maybe the rest of the year, or when there is that energy in that gate? We will have Jupiter going into the gate 13 anyhow, so we're going to get even more. So maybe bigger secrets coming out, bigger stories coming out, and sort of learning from that. Also, anybody who hasn't joined already and you want to just jump on board, you certainly can. Do check out the community tab. I put a lot of information there, and I am doing every one of the lines of every particular gate that we're working on for that particular week, plus extra stuff that I see that's going on, like any transits that are happening or things like that. I'll throw that in there as well, because I think it's all helpful to sort of guide us through the process of what exactly is happening with the world. And I think it's wonderful because it's really helping me to see the world in a different way and to see the energies in a more concrete way with just those words, those key words that you hear that people are saying. And when you have that, it's pretty cool. Basically, to follow the transits. I mean, I think that anybody can be affected by the transits no matter what you have. You could have conditioning from the gates, you could have it going on a particular planet. But if you wanted to have the most basic, if you might feel the most impacted, would be if you have a particular gate that is going to be transited. And so in other words, if you have the gate 49 defined, and we have the sun going through the gate 49, or a particular planet going through that gate, then you might feel it more. Also, if you have the match gate, or what they Rauru called it the harmonic gate, so it would be the what makes the channel, so that you could feel it as well. Just be open to whatever feels right for you. And like I said, I don't have the gate 19, but last week when when the sun was going through the gate 19, I could feel it more, and Jupiter still remains, but it felt like it was even more impactful for me last week when the sun was going through. So again, it doesn't matter if you have that specific gate, you very well may feel that energy. And of course, if you're a reflector, and Rauruhu's also said that if you're a reflector or a manifester, you might even feel the transits even more. So just something to keep in mind. So let's get into the transits. So like I said, we're going to be having a new moon, a new Aquarius moon on February 11th, 2021. Now, this is a seeding time. Any new moon is always a seeding time. And what happens is the next full moon in that particular sign, zodiac, will be the where you start to see what seeds have grown, and what you've planted and how it's growing. So this is a time to plant the seed. And then the next full moon, I believe, in Aquarius will, I think, be in June, I think July 23rd, thereabouts. And there is one more actually Aquarius moon that's going to be happening on August 22nd as well. So let's see what happens. What do we plant at this particular time on February 11th, and what do we see grow? Couple things to say about this new moon is that we do have the moon in the gate 49-5, which is exalted. So it's a higher expression of the energy of the gate 49. And this is all about looking at the needs of society, the needs of the world. What do we need as a society? What do we need to improve the well-being of everybody? And so when we talk about the gate 49, these are like, okay, we have these values, we have these principles, we keep to these values and principles. And when we do that, we're going to start to improve the status, or not necessarily the status, but the well-being of everybody, because it all comes down to the basic needs of what do we need to support the tribe? What do we need to support the people? So this is a new way of looking at what we need to support the people. So we're being seated with that energy. How can we get better social programs for people who are suffering? And right now, because of COVID, and it's like COVID still remains a thing, and it still is actively having its effect in the world. But having said that, I think that we are starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe things are starting to there's more vaccinations out there, and maybe things are going to start to go on the other side. So the rates of infections are reducing, and all those other things are starting to reduce. And now we're looking at, okay, there's a lot of people who lost their jobs, or the economy, and those types of things. How can we start to support those people that need the support most? So these are the kind of things that we might be being seated with. We look at Mercury in the gate 13, we're talking about the stories, and this is a foundation. This is a fatigue. So what we hear from this, from Mercury being in the gate 13 line 4, is fatigue. So what that means is that you're always being inundated or told stories over and over again about what's happening. There could be some level of fatigue. Maybe we're feeling tired of hearing about all the things that are happening. Maybe we want something new. And then, looking at how can we change the old stories, or all those old things that are happening, and what can we make new from old? Basically, what can we reconfigure, change, bring into the present now? What are some old ways that we dealt with these types of issues in the past, when the economy wasn't good, and a lot of people were suffering? How do we make that better? We do have Venus in the gate 19, and we also have Jupiter in the gate 19. So we have two really important planets in the gate 19 line 6. These are the planets that would be considered benefics, or planets that bring some level of good or abundance in some way. That's in the gate 19. So there's a sensitivity to the needs of the people. So we get to the 6th line, we're talking about how can we really start to take care of the needs of the people. This is emotional energy. This is an emotional new moon as well, because we do have the 1949, which is an emotional energy. Again, there's this need for clarity, to not run out and try and change the world because we know that people need help. Instead, maybe looking at it and saying, okay, how can we change this world in a way that people are going to benefit, but we're not breaking down everything just because we want change right now, and we don't know where else to go. The other cool thing about this is that we have Mars in the gate 2 in line 6, again, finding the direction, looking at where can we make this happen. So we have a lot of 6th line energy, as well as some level of 5th line energy. So it's like the 5th line would be the most exemplified version, or the highest version of the energy. And then we get to the 6th line, where you're already looking at the next energy. And we always talk about the 6th line being transformative. So we get to the 5th line. The 5th line is saying, okay, this is what we need to improve, to do something different. This is the highest expression of bringing these brand new experiences, brand new things into the world that will support the people. And it really is a lot of this energy to support people, but there is this energy of revolution. And so if we just go off and decide that we're just, like I said, jump in, burn it all down, and let's just, build something new, but not really have a good plan, then really that leaves you in a worse place than you ever were in the first place. And there is going to be that impetus, frankly, to want to burn it all down, or, metaphorically, instead of actually saying, okay, let's take some conscious steps and make some sort of a plan. We do have the gate 61 finally going in the line 6. And this is where we're starting to talk about all the things, all that pressure that we felt, all the pressure to understand what's going on, to know. And finally, people are saying, okay, well, this is kind of what I got. And, how can we use that? So we're potentially getting downloads, some ideas, some possibilities of things that we didn't think about are finally sort of dropping down. It's almost like when you have a gumball machine and you put the money in, and the gumball finally comes out, and you get something, as opposed to the money being stuck in the machine and you just never get a gumball. I mean, that's kind of what we felt like for the whole time Pluto was not in its most exalted form. That would be the impression I have, or that would be my opinion of how it would look. So now we might be getting some level of this present or something happening, some seed of something new being shown to us. So it is a super powerful new moon. I do have the astrology this week just because I just want to show you how many planets are actually in Aquarius. So you can see Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, the moon, and the sun, and also Mercury. So a lot of Aquarian energy. And again, emotionally charged, because we do have that 1949. So there could be the high side of the wave. You could say, let's just, push through and do it. And the low side of the wave, just, oh, I don't care. There's nothing's ever going to change. It's always exactly the same as it always has been. So in other words, working with that energy. When we talk about emotional energy, remember, if you don't have a defined emotional center, then you might feel a lot more emotional energy these days than normal because of all this extra energy that we're having with these emotional waves. Again, the most important thing to always remember about the emotional wave is allow it to go through, to feel through the energy and understand where, if you want to do something, always feeling like, yes, you want to do it no matter what your mood feels like. So if you're in a deep state of sort of melancholy, you're having a super blue day and you want to do something and it still feels like something you want to do, even though you're very blue, and it feels like something you want to do when you're feeling more joyful, then that's usually something that's to your benefit. But a lot of times what Raruhu used to say was that in the middle of the wave, when there was like a neutral place, that was the most clarity you would ever get in the emotional wave. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So anyway, the moon it is going to be a fairly important new moon. So something to keep an eye on. And really, if you have any astrology background and you know where this is actually going to happen, sort of in your house, in a house of yours. So for instance, this is going to happen in a 10th house. So if you see all the different planets are in the 10th house, so if you have that ability to look at it, that could give you even more added insight into what exactly where exactly this seed is going to grow. So for instance, the seed would be growing, like this is it for an ascendant of Taurus. So the seed is going to be growing on basically in career, in public appearance, how you look to the world, that type of thing. If it's in your 11th house, it's having to do with groups, goals, dreams, wishes, those types of things. And it would just go through all the different ways that where a seed actually might start to grow for you. So it's just something to keep in mind. So right now the sun is in the gate 49. This week I'm going to be doing a line by line, a little bit of a paragraph on each line, and sometimes they're a little longer than I want them to be, but it's hard to sometimes squish it down and because I feel like there's so much good information to share that sometimes I have a hard time trying to squish it down. So I do apologize if it is a little bit wordy and lengthy. But having said that, the gate 49, I'm going to go through it line by line this week, and it will sort of give you more of this this idea of how the energy expresses based on the lines. The lines are really nice because they give it even more of a dimension of if it is in your specific chart or it's defined, especially if it's defined in your personality sun or your design sun or your any of the top 4 numbers, design earth, or even really the moon. You could really feel it more impactful in your life and your life purpose, and even the nodes. And the nodes are very important as well because they sort of tell you the road that you're walking in your life, as well as it could be like what your gifts are and where you're moving, what direction you're moving in your life. So again, this is revolutionary energy. Like this is a big theme that we're going to be hearing a lot about because we do have there's a lot of planets that are going to be going into the gate 49. So this is going to be an impactful energy, and because we have a whole channel, even more of an impactful energy because there is this level of a component of emotional energy attached to it, which always makes things more amplified in their expression when there is some level of emotional connection with them. So it's like just tired of the status quo. I think there's this push to really get something new social programs, because I think that if there's anything that people want, they want to know that at the end of the day, they're going to have a place to sleep. They're going to have food on the table. They're going to have heat, and they're going to have enough money so that they can pay their bills. And that's what I think, the average person wants. They just want to be able to not worry about those things. I mean, those are the parts of life that we should have. And unfortunately that isn't the case. And so this energy says, okay, how can we support the people? But having said that, this is a very powerful energy where there could be this push to just get things done no matter what, to push the agenda and to not really think it out. And again, this is to remember that it is emotional energy, and it needs timing, and it needs clarity, and it needs a firm plan to really know how you want to proceed. So just something, and the word revolution, let's look at that as a keyword for this week that you might hear: revolting, revolution, revolutionary energy, revolutionary ideas. We do have Uranus actually sort of adding to the mix too, and I'll talk about that in a minute. February 13th, we have the sun going into the gate 30. Now, this is an intensity. This is a burning desire that comes with the fantasy of the 41. So we have Saturn that remains in the gate 41. So one more time, that one more channel of emotional energy. Now, this is more an emotional energy to get, like, so if we look at the 1949, that's a tribal emotional energy. Support the people, let everybody have what they need to survive in the most mundane of ways. When we get to the gate 4130, or the channel 4130, we're talking about people saying, okay, I want to experience the most amazing things in my life. I want to have that next beautiful thing that happens. Now, when you get to this energy, you have someone like Elon Musk who has the gate 30. I don't know exactly where it is in his chart, but he definitely has a gate 30. And it's all about the next big experience. So he wants to go to Mars. You see, so when your needs are met and you don't need to worry about money, or where if your house is going to still be there, or if you're going to be kicked out of your apartment, or those types of things, then you start to look at what's the most amazing thing that I can have in my life. The cool thing about the gate 30 is that it does have this real burning energy as well. But there's also something that I didn't even know about until I started researching it. And I think, like, that's what I'm telling you, I'm learning so much, and it's amazing because when I learn something, I can share it with you. And that really makes me happy, because ultimately, that's my agenda. My agenda is to share as much as I can human design, so that we can have the tools we need to have better lives ultimately, because I know it can improve our lives. And I'm going to get off my soapbox, so let's move on. So the really interesting thing about this energy of the holding on to the right dreams, and this is kind of working with the gate 41 to really hammer down on those, on what we want to bring, those fantasies, those things, those big ideas that we want to bring into the future. Again, right timing, when to start, and when to pull back, when to push, when to let go. And that's what this whole thing is: holding on to the right ideas, the right things, and letting go of the things that really are not going to work out, or they're not really to your benefit. I mean, do you want to have the best house on the block because you feel insecure about who you are, and you want to have the nicest house because of that? Or do you want to have a beautiful house that makes you feel good about yourself, and maybe it doesn't have to be maximum size, but it feels good because it has the things you like, it has the floor color that you like, or a kitchen that's big because you like to bake, or things like that. And looking at those kind of ideas, as opposed to, oh, I want the biggest and the most amazing, and everything has to be off the charts. And that's what this energy can all be about. And to the point where you burn yourself out with this, because it's too much. It's too much pressure. I need it. And there's the emotional pressure because it is hooked up to the root center. So this is all about holding on to the dreams that are really going to bring you that nice experience. And the biggest thing that we can always talk about when we're talking about the experiential stream, or the experience energy, which would be the 4130, and then 3536, those types of things, and also 1333, they're all sort of in the same stream, or they kind of connect and talk about different experiences that we have as humans. They are collective energy. The biggest thing is to know that the journey is just as important, if not more important, than the actual destination. Because I think that if we think about all the goals that we've had in our lives, and the times that we've really wanted something so desperately, it's been in our heart, and it's been basically all we can do is eat, drink, and sleep that particular thing that we want. And what if we get it? And sometimes, and many times we do. And when we do get that thing, and then it's like this, you kind of deflate and you go, okay, that's done. And now what can I get? And that's kind of where this energy can take you. So remembering that the journey is the most important part of this whole energy is to remember, because if you're not in the present moment, and this is gate 30 line 3 is all about accepting what is in this moment. What is it? Being in the now to see exactly where you are. This energy is hooked up to the fates, and I'm going to be doing a video all about the fates of the gate 30. I'm going to be doing a video when I release a video for the Mandala of Life, which will be next weekend. And I'm going to do that video on the fates as well, which is actually it's very instrumental in explaining how we, as our profile, our personality profile line, how we experience life, and how we push through life, and the tools that are helpful for us to maneuver through the experiences, and basically the fates, which are the setbacks in our lives that we have. So I'm excited about that energy, that video coming out, and we'll talk about that next week. But again, this is the energy we're talking about that's coming in on February 13th. And again, knowing when to hold on, and knowing when to let go, and knowing that if you are always just sticking to the same plan, never wanting to change, looking, I only want this, I only want this, you could burn yourself out, you could burn other people out, and it's just not worth your while. It's not worth it to burn yourself out. Life is about life is about having fun. And if something stops being fun, yeah, you're going to have obstacles. Yeah, you're going to have times where things are not moving the way you want to. But having said that, if it becomes like drudgery, or it's over the top, or it's obsessive, then it's not really worthwhile for you anymore. Let's look at the Earth. And in the Earth right now, we're in the gate 7. We talked a lot about that last week, and it really is about that energy of supporting the right people. So, really, really rethinking who are the people that are in leadership roles. Are they serving me? Are they serving whatever that is? I mean, it could be the head of some group that you're in, or something like that. Are they doing their part? And if they're not, how can that be shifted? Because if we just let people just continue to hold on to those places of power without having them accountable, it doesn't help us, and it does help them, but it doesn't help us. And ultimately, we need to step up and say, okay, we want the best leader for this particular thing. And if that's not the case, how can we shift that? February 13th, we have the Earth moving into the gate 29, and this is all about perseverance. This is an energy that is all about staying the course, holding on. And you could say it's kind of similar to the gate 30, but on this way, it's a little bit, there is this level of intensity, but this comes to a point where this is like more of a devotional energy, as in a passion for something. Sometimes there can be this level of overcommitting, or doing too much, and not really being able to go ahead and do what you have promised to do. This could be saying yes all the time, even if you don't necessarily have the ability to do what you plan to do. So it really is about perseverance, yes, but also knowing when to say yes, and knowing when to say no, and knowing when you can be overcommitted. And this is an energy of there's some level of luck in this energy. So it could be about things just kind of happening in a very dynamic way, or a very like out of the blue kind of way, being in the right place at the right time. But on the other hand, this also is all about being in the flow of your life. It's about being on the correct path, and knowing when you're not on the right path. This is about, no matter what, if obstacles come in your way, understanding that, okay, yes, there is an obstacle, but there is this level of pushing through that obstacle, and understanding that sometimes you just have to stop, reconfigure, and see exactly where you need to go, and shift it up the way you need to. So that's what it is. And it is about, like I said, calculated plans, being in the flow of life, in a natural light, luck. So we could be grounded in this perseverance of we have these big dreams, the gate 41 and the gate 30 coming in a channel. We have that energy. We have the energy also of the 1949, which is all about making better support for the tribe. So perseverance to make these things happen, being grounded in understanding that we will have to continue to push forward. No matter what life is showing us, we need to reconfigure, be in the flow. And it is about the cycle too, like to know, again, this is about knowing when to push and knowing when to stop, and not only just pushing forward no matter what. Again, this can be overcommitment or trying to do too much, and because of that, you just can't keep up all the promises. So in other words, making the right promises and waiting when people ask you to do something, waiting to see if it's right for you, and instead of just immediately saying yes. And then in other words, also, if you have like an emotional authority, even more, this is important for you to wait to say yes before you do, because you're going to want to say yes. You're going to want to say, oh yeah, absolutely, I can do that, no problem. And then you can't do it and you can't come through. And then there's a frustration on your part because you can't keep your end of the bargain. And there's frustration on the part of the person that you've promised to. So that's the kind of energy that we're going to be looking at. Right now, Mercury's in the gate 49. We talked about it. It's all that revolutionary energy. Again, this is talking about it. We're going to some communication, media. This is, we could see, talk about revolting, pushing against the system, pushing against the man, whatever that is. That's like a saying, just saying enough. We're not going to take it anymore. Let's push, and that type of thing. So there could be this revolutionary talks about just really making something happen, or pushing against the agenda, and just conversations about that. We move into the gate 13 on the 13th of February, which is again the listener. This is, I mean, we talked about the sun going through the listener, and this energy of finding out secrets and stuff, but when we get it into Mercury, we really have this communication energy. We have social media, we have media of any kind, we have what people are saying, what you're hearing in your community, those kind of things. So yeah, you could really start hearing about stories of, it could be secret stories, but it also could be this energy of just hearing about how people are doing, and being shifted by the reality of what you're hearing, and kind of looking at the world in a different way when you hear what's happening around you, those types of things. February 15th, we're moving into the gate 19 with the sensitivity, and already the Jupiter's in that energy. So it's just going to be joining Jupiter. Jupiter's already making it a big energy in this sensitivity. Again, it leads back into the gate 49. And this full emotional energy of, I mean, I think if there's anything that we can say about 2021, it really is this energy that we want to revolt, or we want to change, or we want to, like, I guess I think that 2020 was like a total holding pattern, a total limitation, a total where we can't do anything, literally just watching everything fall around you. Now we're in 2021. It's like, okay, yes, we do have the remnants of that energy of 2020 coming here with how COVID is, and those types of things, and job loss and those types of things. But now we're looking at how can we change that and make a better support for the people. So that's kind of the second part of, we had all the structures fall apart, in a way. I would say a lot of the structures fell apart. So now that, how can we build them? What can we change? What can we make better than was before? Into Venus, again, a lot of these same energies. So it's just different planets expressing because we saw so many planets built up in Aquarius. That's the Aquarius gates that we're hearing a lot about. So just different expressions. So right now, Venus is in the gate 19. This is a sensitivity of women. This is about and if you go into the gate 13, the stories I've heard a lot of, unfortunately, stories about, and it can be related back to the gate 30, much as it is about burning out and holding on to energy, and holding on to the dream. There can be some level of sexual desire, or these fantasies about sex and that type of thing. And what I've heard is there's been stories about, unfortunately, abuse and that type of thing that have been coming to the forefront of prominent people who have decided that they want to tell their story. So there's that energy of this sensitivity of women, and seeing them in their most vulnerable, and supporting women with their stories and what they need to tell the world. So those are the kinds of energies we could be seeing happening. And on February 12th, we have Venus going into the gate 13. And then we could be hearing about stories about women, and stories about resources, and stories about how, like, the good things in life. So maybe hearing stories about the experiences of women, and because it is in Venus and it is about that type of thing. We could be hearing stories about the experiences of people who have actually got away and done something nice, or this remembrance of, oh, remember when we went out to, and we did some really nice things, like we went on a vacation, and things like that not as many people are doing now because of the restrictions and because of the way that life has sort of been. So these are could be the things that we're hearing when it comes to the stories that we're hearing, or secrets about women, women telling secrets, or women having their secrets revealed, because there is a lot of that energy going to be happening the next week with the gate 13. So interesting to see how that will show up. Then we get to February 17th and we have revolution, gate 49, revolutionary ideas, revolutionary women pushing the agenda, saying, okay, we won't stand for this anymore. How are we going to change this? We can't take this whatever this is anymore. We need to push the agenda. We need to make things happen. And so we could see powerful women pushing the agenda and saying they're not going to take it anymore. And we could hear pushing against the status quo. I mean, again, this feminine energy, pushing against the way resources are distributed, pushing against those types of things. These could be the things that we're starting to hear about as the week goes on. Right now, Mars is in the gate 2, and we talked a lot about the gate 2, and that's the direction and how we're finding our direction and making sure that the direction we're going in is the direction that is good for us, and as opposed to just grabbing whatever we can. This is an aggressive energy potentially, or an assertive energy, because it is Mars. Mars is about, it could be about the military, it could be about like a male energy, as opposed to Venus is more of a feminine energy. So this is like a yang as opposed to a yin for the Venus. And this is finding the sort of breadcrumbs as you go to figure out where you're going, instead of just kind of saying, okay, I'm just going to burn through this and I'm going to go because I need a new direction. February 12th, we go into the gate 23. I did talk about this last week. It's not really changing much because I kind of jumped ahead last week, but that's all right. I'll just quickly just kind of recap it. And ultimately, this is about telling people what you know and telling people how you can get things done. So if we have the gate 43, we have the gate 43, which is not being transited right now, but the gate 43 is called breakthrough. And it is, so I'm just talking about the connected energy because it can help with the explanation of what this energy is all about. If we look at the gate 43, that's the gate of breakthrough. So it's the aha moment. So it's this really big inspiration idea, something you want to bring into the world. And it kind of comes in that moment, just out of the blue, and you have this, oh wow, this, I can make this happen, or I want to make this happen. Of course, it doesn't go overnight, and because pretty much nothing that you manifest in life ever goes overnight. I mean, it just doesn't happen like that unless you win the lottery. And well, if that happens, that's amazing. It does manifest overnight, but ultimately, normally it doesn't. The other way is just the hard work way, or the timing way, or waiting for the right time and waiting for the right moment when things can sort of manifest and start to become real. We look at the gate 23. If we look at this image, we see inside of it there's like a globe, a crystal ball, you could say, and it's like I guess it would be like a snow globe or something like that, and inside it is a castle. The whole idea is that if you notice, there's a reflection. You want to take that castle from your mind and bring it into manifestation, into the real world. And how can you do that? So you look at it, it's in a glass ball, it's and you want to preserve it, but not everything is going to make the cut, because ultimately you might break off something as you're trying to make that thing happen, or when you're trying to disassemble it and reassemble it. And that's why they call it assimilation, because you're bringing that idea together, but you're also honing it down to what is going to work and what isn't going to work. So that's what that energy is about, the process of beginning new ideas and looking at them. But ultimately, you come from this aha, oh, I have this amazing inspiration that's in your mind, and then you're verbalizing it, because this is a throat gate, and this is where you start to tell people, oh, I really want to make this happen, this manifestation, or what I want to manifest in the real world. It's from my mind to the real world. But again, this is about using the least amount of words to explain what you need to explain, because people could potentially not really understand what you're saying. But when you get this energy right, people will get what you're saying. Again, this is not a motorized energy, so it's always going to be about being called out of you, and timing is really important to make it happen. But there could be this push to really get those cool ideas out into the reality. Jupiter remains in gate 19, and it will be actually shifting on February 15th into the gate 13. And then, like I said, more expansion of the stories. hearing more about the past, hearing about what we can pull from the past into now. What can we use? What are some techniques, ideas, things that we've done that have worked really well in the past? How can we tweak them? How can we bring them now into this moment to help us? And from the most mundane perspective of our lives, we can look at, what did we do before? How did it work? What can we take from that, and how can we move that into, like, we want to do something, if you want to get a new job, and if and you've done it before, back in maybe 6 years ago, you changed jobs. What did you do? How did it work? What were some things that maybe didn't work as well as you'd like them to? How could you change that? So those are the kind of things you get, those inspirations of how you can shift it. And you might hear about other people, oh well, I did this and this, and this is how it happened, and you could use their stories to propel your story into the future, so that you have more of a clarity on what you want to do to go forward. It could be more of an interest in history, going back to history, trying to figure out more. And when we talk about Jupiter, we're talking about Jupiter is like the ruler of religion, laws. So maybe we're looking at old laws that were a thing, and bringing old laws back into the present. Or we could look at religious practices or things about religion. That could all be the case. But again, it's always going to be something that's an expansion of the energy, an expansion of maybe secrets being revealed. We'll see. So those are all those things. I talked a lot about the gate 19 already, so I'm not going to really spend much time on that because I don't want to bore people. We do have Saturn moving to line 6 on February 13th. And then this is like where you get to the point where, again, you're moving into that energy. When we get to the 6th line, we're always looking at the next energy, and the next energy would be the gate 19. So there's this level of sensitivity of support. So we're looking at dreams and inspirations on how we can get more support. Again, the same theme. How can we support people better than we have before? So the other aspect of this is trying to get the perfect experience, the most magical experience that almost doesn't really exist. And that's what you can get with this energy, is this overinflation of this idea of, oh, there's got to be something better. And that's would be the whole Mars thing, going to Mars, like, really, couldn't we use the money that you might spend to go to Mars to support, like, people and food and things like that? Like, I could say that. And to me, that makes sense because I don't care to go to Mars. But having said that, for somebody who is really invested in the whole idea of going to places where they've never gone before, and exploring things that they've never explored before, then that I make no sense. So again, that's the idea of, this is bringing it sort of like, with Saturn there, we're talking about more practical ideas of how we can bring these, what are these new inspirations, and again, how are we going to bring them in, because Saturn is always going to push us to do the work more than just dream. It's going to push us to dream, yes, fine, but also to do the work to make those dreams a reality. February 16th, we have the nodes finally moving from the 45-26 to the 35-5. So we have a brand new set of energy, and I'll be talking about that as we go. It's going to always be in the 6th line because these they go clockwise as opposed to counterclockwise like all the other planets. So ultimately, we're talking about moving from tribal energy. Now we're moving into collective energy. So it's more of a collective feel to it. So when we talk about collective energy, we're always talking about a social experience. When we're talking about tribal energy, we're talking about specific, like, support of some sort. It's always some level of support. Then we get to the collective energy, and it's really the experience that we're talking about. There is some level of experience, but there's also this level of a social things. When we talk about collective energy, we have the energy of patterns, which is the logical part of it, and then we have the energy of the abstract, which is more of a just jumping into things and seeing how it goes. The gate 35 is just jumping into it and see how it goes energy. And because of that, it just kind of pushes us into some level of, this is where we're going. We want to get those new experiences. But having said that, the gate 35 is an energy that says, I want to have an experience, but I'm not going to just do anything. So in other words, we were under this level of limitation and wanting to just do anything that is different, anything that is new and exciting, or it feels like it's new and exciting, to have that perfect experience. This is always about the journey as well, because anything about these experiential energies are about the journey. So if you're not making the right choices, with these types of things that you want to do, then you could be jaded because you want it to be everything and it's not. And that's the frustration with it. And ultimately, once the experience happens, the only thing you have left is the memories. And so this is a really important energy to know that we are moving to this idea of, yes, experiences are important. Yes, we want change. Yes, we want to have something more than what we're doing right now. We want to always have something brand new and exciting. And that's kind of what we all live for. I mean, everybody saves up so they can go and do the things they want to do. If it means that they get a new fancy car that they want, or a nice meal they want, or a vacation, or a fine bottle of wine, or whatever, you're always saving up to do something which is an experience that you're excited about. And that's kind of where we're moving in this energy. It's this energy of progress to move to the next experience. But again, it's not just anything, it's something that's well thought of, important, and kind of going to leave you with something that is more valuable of a memory than it is compared to something that is just kind of fleeting. And again, there's this level of satisfaction that you want to get with these experience. And that's kind of what we're moving to. We're moving away from the gate 5, and the gate 5 is all about patience and waiting. But again, this is about not waiting, not having patience, getting frustrated and saying, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. But understanding that you have to wait, and understanding that waiting is part of the process of being alive, understanding that because we're ready doesn't mean that everybody's on the same page as us. And because of that, we could be trying to rush things and it's not working and being frustrated. But if we understand that the universe is actually, even if we don't know, it can be working on our behalf, and to rest in that assurance that we are going to be taken care of. This is talking about cycles, really being on universal timing as opposed to our own timing. And again, the not being able to wait, not being able to believe that there is a higher plan and those types of things, and understanding that there actually is a higher plan and there is natural cycles and those types of things. I mean, I know a lot of people are actually talking about trying to move with the cycles and to go with the cycles of life and the rhythms of nature, as opposed to just going with our own cycles. And some people will get up early in the morning with the sun and go to sleep when the sun goes down, and those types of things, just kind of getting back to some level of nature. And I will talk more about those as we go along, because the nodes will be transiting these gates for a while. Uranus and Saturn are going to be making squares 3 times in this year, 2021, and I think into 2022 as well. So it's an energy that's going to be dynamic throughout the year. A square is always some level of tension, so the energy is kind of not really working well together, some level of friction. First one is just starting to form right now. And as of now, I mean, it's getting close enough. So it says February 7th that we have the square. The square is going to be between Uranus, which is in the gate 27. It's in the line 6 as well. And this is all about this idea of how can we trust that we're going to be cared for? How can we trust unless we have some level of, and also this idea that I don't want to put my investment into caring about you if I don't even think you're going to care about me. It's more of a jaded idea of how we care for ourselves and how we move through life. Also going to be some level of unusual or not the norm, unexpected ways to care for ourselves. When we combine it with the gate 41, which is Saturn's going to be transiting the gate 41 in the line 6, we have this idea of this fantasy, or also this idea that you want to bring something new, some new possibilities into how we're going to care for things. So we have Uranus that's saying, give me something new, give me something more unique, something that I've never seen before. Show me some way that you can tell me that you're going to take care of me, that you're going to take care of the people, that you're going to take care of the world or whatever. Show me some level that you're in the game, that you have some skin in the game. Uranus is saying, and Saturn saying, well, we're trying to make things happen. We're trying to give you a better experience. But Uranus is saying, okay, well, show me something that's going to happen. This could be some level of the internet as well, because Uranus can be related to communication, anything in the air, those types of things. And the gate 41, we have Saturn in the gate 41, and we have this real strict kind of limitation of saying, okay, yes, you want to bring this new thing into being. How are you going to make it happen? Saturn is exalted in gate 41, line 6. what this says is that the people will benefit from what is being is what is happening. But having said that, it says that there will be some level of not things not going perfect before the better things show up. So in other words, saying, yes, we are working on making this new experience that, will show you that we actually do care. What are we going to build? It's always a structure, an experience that's going to structure something new for the collective, so that we can actually make something better for the tribe, so for the people, for the internet. There could be some level of restructuring of the internet. Yeah, really a restructuring of the internet. Like, I think that there's that level of it, this restructuring of how things are happening and how the information is getting to people, what kind of information. So a restructuring, but having said that, it's a restructuring that's going to have a few bumps in the way before it actually gets smoothed out. So maybe more limitations in the internet, more limitations in the information that's getting out there. We did actually see this. So if you look at Uranus being in the gate 27, and we're talking about how we're supported, like this is about taking care of people and that kind of things. But you also have to remember, because it is in Taurus, there's this level of money or things like that. And we have the gate 41, which is about having experiences that have never been done before, like the perfect experience. And so if we look at what happened in, for instance, a stock market, and you have had these investors in this company called Robinhood, who were investing in a company and basically making the market do things it had never done before, so that literally you had people who didn't have a lot of money making money, and then people who had a lot of money who were in the stock market for a while losing money. And I mean, of course, it's not a perfect story. There's always going to be people who didn't have a lot of money losing whatever they had, and people, and whatever. But having said that, there's this shift of how things are done. And okay, so people are saying, okay, everybody invest in this particular stock, and you're going to get some benefit out of it. And this idea of changing the way the money is being distributed in a very unique way that we've never seen before. And but it's also coming from this fantasy of this perfect experience, like let's make this the perfect structure, or this, how can we benefit people? So there's this connection of this kind of thing. So can we see potential for seeing this different way of these two planets interacting, these two gates interacting, this fantasy of this brand new experience, this brand new thing we've never seen before, never done before, and how it is going to help the people or show the people something different. Neptune remains in the gate 22, and it's pretty much the same. So I'm not going to really say, but the one thing about Neptune is just to do the creativity, to express yourself, to try and, just put your mark on the world in any way you like, in a way that makes you feel happy, and not really worrying about other people. And ultimately getting into that energy of just saying, I don't care what people think. Ultimately, if I'm happy, it makes me feel happy, and I'm not hurting anybody, then it's worthwhile. Pluto again is in the line 6. Again, opening up and seeing what kind of new things, what new downloads, what new ways of looking at things can we see? What things do we not know before that maybe we know more about now? What insights do we have? So those are the types of things. We have Chiron in the gate 17, and it moves to the line 4. So now we're looking at some level of the opinions kind of getting to a point where it's overwhelming, because we always get to the fourth line, where it's like anything in the fourth line is always going to be this fixed energy, where this kind of pushing and continuing to say the same things over and over again. But having said that, sometimes these opinions will start to stick, because it is some level of fixedness, and there is this kind of belief in this opinion that other people will start to believe it, and there could be some level of influence that happens with this Chiron. And that is everything for the week. And it was another long week, and usually it is when we do have an extra new moon in the mix and everything. And I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back again next week, and I hope, if you haven't already joined the Mandala of Life experience, that you will give it a shot and just see if there's anything that you might learn from it, or it might help you with your own journey. And so thanks for being here, and I will see you again. Take care. Bye for now.